Everyone's dream. All right, number one, rewrite the expression 7th root of x to the ninth over the 5th root of x to the 6th using a single radical. Any bright ideas? Oh, is that right? About this one? Okay, you want to time me? Turn the root into a fraction. Yeah, so the 7th root of x to the ninth is really x to the 9/7. Do you remember that kind of a little bit? Lie to me, Carly. Just be like, yes, totally. So that means similarly, the 5th root of x to the 6th is x to the 6 over 5. Good. The exponent goes on top, and the root goes on the bottom. Okay? So what do you do when you're dividing? What do you do to the exponents? You certainly may, Tanner. Help yourself. My big middle desk drawer, there should be something in there for you. You subtract the exponents when you're dividing. So I have to figure out what 9/7 minus 6/5 is. You guys have calculators? You guys know how to use the fraction button on the calculator? You're welcome. I saw that look. You guys know how to use the fraction button on the calculator? Can you? I know Tanner can't catch. Big guys have no hands. Uh-huh. Feed the beast. Have you done this yet in basketball? Yeah. You feel like you would? Okay, so if you go 9 and then hit the ABC button, minus 6 and hit the ABC button, it'll give you this as a fraction. I'm going to just, for funnies, get a common denominator of 35. So that's 45 there, 42 there. So that's 3 over 35. Is that what you guys got? Carter? Yeah. So to do this on the calculator, 9 and then the ABC button, and then hit 7, minus 6, ABC button, 5. And does it equal 3 over 35? What? Okay. So that means our answer would be x to the 3/35. Okay? So it's a two-step recall. Change both of the exponents into fractions. That's like the advanced math part of the problem. And then subtract the two fractions. That's supposed to be the easy part. Yep, multiplying anything you want. And you can do it because it's A, B, C, you can do it with mixed numbers too. So if you have like 5 3/5, you go 5, ABC, 3, ABC, 5. Because it's a fraction. That's the fraction key on that calculator. Okay? All right, number 2, factor completely. What can you factor out of all three of those terms? A 2 and an x. What am I left with when I do that? I got a 3x in here. Thank you, Tanner. I got an x squared there and a minus 10. Okay? I will text Coach Galloway and said, T-Bone's going off tonight. He answered a question for the first time in class all year. That's as aggressive as I've ever seen him. He's going to go for 30. Okay, and then you can factor the x squared plus 3x minus 10 a little bit further. Two numbers that multiply together to be negative 10 and add to be positive 3. 5 and negative 2. Okay. That's it. That's it. Yeah, easy money. That's the answer. No, okay, I see what you're saying. If this was like equals 0, then we would say x equals 0, x equals -5. Right, exactly. But yeah, you'd take those and set them equal to 0, but it's just saying factor it. So it's just an expression, not an equation, so you're not actually going to solve for x. Okay? Yeah, thanks for asking. Um, okay, solve the double inequality. All right, so this looks maybe really intimidating, but it really is not. Addison, am I totally blocking you out there? Okay, I'll try and stand over here and write backwards. So just focus on the middle thing. Solve that for x. What do you do first? Multiply by 2. So what's -12 times 2? -24. And then we multiply this by 2, so the 2's cancel, and give me 5x minus 6. What's -17 times 2? -14. Okay, what's my next step in solving this middle piece for x? Do what? Add 6. So if I add 6 to here, then I'm going to add 6 to here, and I'm going to add 6 to there. So -24 plus 6 is -18. Those cancel. And then -8. Yeah. Did I put your tests in that we just had yet? Oh, okay. Okay. And then what's the last step I have to do for that? Nope. I'm just focused on the middle. Yep. Divide by 5. See. Because I forgot to write that. Sorry. Okay, and then -18 divided by 5 is like -3.6. The 5's cancel here, so that's x, and then that is -1.6. Okay. Then it says they would like you to express your answer in interval notation. So the way you would do that is you go round bracket because this is greater than but not equal to, and then you would go square bracket because it's equal to. Yeah. Okay. Could you guys hear us talking in the hallway where you're like, keep talking, just keep. Yeah, I had 3 people in calculus and it's her prep period, so. Okay, number 4, show that the points are the vertices of a square. How do you want to do that? You want to draw a thing? Seems like it. Good start anyway. Alright, so if I graph these, 1, -3, -8, 1, -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, how do you show that that's a square? Draw some lines. Are you basically telling me to connect the dots, Evan? All right. Whoa. Okay, so yeah, Tristan says for that to be a square, um, the sides have to be parallel, right? So what's the slope from this point here down to that point there? What is that? Down 4 and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What is this slope? Same. Down 4 over 9. What is this slope? Yeah, good. Way to come in late, sit down, and nail the tough question. Yeah, it's the opposite. This is up 9 and over 4. And then if you do the slope between these 2 points, that's the same thing. So it is a square. Yeah, if any one of those numbers was not a 9 or a 4, then they wouldn't be parallel, the segments wouldn't be congruent, and then it would not be a square. Okay? May I? Carter, you still puzzling over that one in your head? Indigo? Yeah, good question. Yeah, they left you a lot of room for that. Oh, and they gave you a little graph thingy? Or no, you just drew it. Oh, I see. Okay. I don't know. Addison wrote slopes are -4/9 and 9 over 4. Slopes are opposite reciprocals, so the lines are perpendicular. And 9 over 4. So if they're opposite reciprocals, then they're perpendicular, and if they're perpendicular, then it's a square. You're good? Okay. All right, next one, determine the range of that crazy thing there. So this is something that you have to do by graphing. So I would give you the graph for this one. You know what I'm saying? Okay, but we'll just cheat and make the graph right now. What is the equation? To the fourth? Okay, thank you. Okay, do you remember what the range means? That's when you're doing statistics. Yeah, it's the biggest number minus the smaller number. But when you're looking at, a graph, you've got the domain and range thing going on. Yeah, it does. Is the range the x's or the y's? Do you guys remember? The y's? Okay, Addison is correct. It's the y's. The domain is the x's and the range is the y's. So I tried to change the window so we could see this a little better. How low does this graph go? What's the lowest y value there? Negative infinity. It goes down forever. And what's the highest y value? 29.43. So that means the range is from negative infinity to 29.43. What do you think? We can rattle off like 10 problems today and then call it? A lot of people gone. Okay. And then we'll keep working on it Monday again. Huh? Okay, I'm so glad that you asked that. I was kind of waiting for someone to ask that. I appreciate you always trying to, understand completely. Why is one of these a round bracket and why is this one a square bracket? Will? That's exactly right. It goes down forever, so we'll never get to negative infinity. So this is a round bracket because that represents like greater than or less than but not equal to. Remember how we did that over here? This one was a round bracket because it didn't have the equal to sign. This one was a square bracket because it did. So that's basically the same thing just in graph form. Like Will said, we'll never get here, so it's just negative infinity, but that does reach 29.43, so that's a square bracket. Well played, Will. You're having a good day. You and Tanner are tearing it up. Maybe you should play basketball tonight too. All right, number 6. Going way back to first year algebra. Find an equation in slope-intercept form. So we're looking for the old y equals mx plus b that contains those 2 points. Anybody got the slope formula off the top of your head? Well, that's the slope-intercept form of the thing. What? You know, you figured out the slope already? Okay. Yeah, to find the slope, you go y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So what's the second y coordinate? Did you have the x's on top? Oh, okay. Yeah, you want to do the y's first. So 5 minus 7 is the y's. 3 minus negative 2 is the x's. So that's negative 2/5. Yeah. So yeah, you just had it upside down. So now we need to take our old friend y equals mx plus b, and we need to use that to figure out what b equals. So I've got to plug in a number for y. What number do you want to use for y? 7. Okay. Oh, Carly and Will getting into a fight. She said 5, he said 7. Kind of like 5 better because they're both positive, but you know, whatever. He said 7. I heard that first, so we'll go 7. But you could use either one of these points. Equals negative 2/5 times. Now that we've chosen 7, we have no choice what we use for the x. We have to use the x that goes with that y, right? So that's times negative 2 plus b. No, we're trying to solve for b. Times, nope, because you chose this point. Yep, plus b. Okay, but we haven't solved for b yet in either one of those. Got to do that first. So what does b equal? How do I get there? Okay, multiply these together. Remember, multiplying fractions is easy. You don't need a common denominator. You just multiply straight across. So negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. 5 times 1 is 5 plus b. Yep, and then subtract 4/5. If you want to, you now have the magic of the fraction key on your calculator. So you can go 7 minus 4/5 on your calculator if you're uncomfortable doing that math yourself. If you do that, you get 6 1/5. Okay. Okay, so we figured out the slope is negative 2/5. We figured out the y-intercept is 6 1/5. So that means the equation for the line is y equals negative 2/5 x plus 6 1/5. When you were over here, what did you get when you multiply these two things together? Over 5, right? Okay, well, you're not done yet. You got to solve for b. So how do I get that negative 6/5 to the other side? Nope, I'm going to add, because this is a negative. And if you add 6/5, yeah, then you get 6 1/5 doing it that way also. You can check on your calculator if you don't believe me. That 5 plus 6/5 is 6 1/5. Oh, no, it wouldn't be 11/5. You'd have to get a common denominator. So this 5 would turn into 25/5. And then 25/5 plus 6/5 would be 31/5, and that's 6 1/5. But don't be a hero, man. Just do it. Yeah, just do it on your calculator. Yeah, right. 5 plus 6 ABC 5. Yeah. As advertised. All right, number 7, the table shows average salaries for employees of mediocre tools. That's where I want to work. Find a linear regression equation for the data and graph the equation with a scatter plot. Then use it to estimate the average salary in 2008. So this is a Desmos situation. And I'm just trying to think in my head, is there a way that I can get you guys to do this without you guys being on your phone during a quiz or whatever? And I don't really think that there is. I mean, we could do the old school scatter plot and take a ruler and, but yeah, no, we're past that. So I feel like this is a skipper. Do you want me to show you how you would do it on Desmos? Not really? Okay. Do you remember doing these on Desmos? Not really? Kind of depresses me. But it's all right, I'll get over it. Okay, rewrite the expression log base 5 of x plus 3 into an equivalent expression using only natural logarithms. This is a blast from the past. We had a change of base formula for logs. And it is the natural log of the second thing divided by the natural log of the base. That's it. That's literally it. Nope. Nope. Because it's not times. It's not natural log times x plus 3. It's the natural log of x plus 3. Okay? Does that kind of make sense? You want me to like throw another one together so you can kind of see that again? So that's it, yeah. Log base 8 of x plus 7 would be, yeah. And base always goes, it's the base, right? Goes on the bottom, yeah. It's like when you do your makeup and you put the base down first, yeah, foundation on first. Yeah, so this is useful because your calculators, you can't do a base 5 or a base 8, right? So this changes it into a thing that you can solve on a calculator. All right. Oh, this looks like fun. All right, number 9, 3 sides of a fence and an existing wall form a rectangular enclosure. The total length of a fence used for the 3 sides is 240 feet. Let x be the length of the 2 sides perpendicular to the wall as shown. Write the area A of the enclosure as a function of the length x of the rectangular area as shown in the above figure. Then find the values of x for which the area is 5,500 feet. Anybody have any idea what just happened? I'm going to put a dog run there. So the existing wall is my garage or my shop, and I'm just going to put a big, long, skinny fence along there for my dog so that when I'm gone, he can be there, but he has room to run back and forth. How about that? Start gnawing through the wood or whatever. My dog is well behaved. He knows better than that. I don't know. I just made that up. All right. So you got 240 feet of fencing. How much are you gonna have for that piece right there? Say one more time. Not a variable though, because we know we have 240 feet of fencing. So for example, Tristan has this, yeah. If both of these were 10 feet long, how much would I have for this right there? How'd you get that? You doubled the 10 and subtracted from 240, right? If both of these were 40 feet long, how much would I have left for that thing there? 160. So if both of those are x feet long, then I would have 240 minus 2 times whatever that length is. Okay? So what is the area then of that enclosure? Okay, we want to figure out 5,500. What is it as an algebraic expression using this little diagram? Good, but I want to show your work. So what Will did is he said that it is the length, which is 240 minus 2x, times the width, which is x. Addison said that's 5,500, so what we have to figure out now is what value of x makes both of them right at the same time. Okay? So how do I solve that for x? Got to distribute the x. So 240x minus 2x squared equals 550. You want to put this over here. I kind of like to start with a positive number, so I'm going to move them all to the other side. So I'm going to make this 2x squared minus 240x plus 500 or 5,500. Okay. But I'm going to do something first. What can I do to make that a little bit easier to solve? Grace? Right, I can divide I can divide all those terms by 2. So instead of 2x squared, I'm going to go x squared. Instead of minus 240x, I'm going to go 120x. And instead of 5,500, I'm going to go with 2,750. Yeah, I just divided them all by 2 because that makes the numbers a little bit easier to work with, because now, in order to, Will called it foiling, but really when we're going this way, it's factoring, I have to factor that. I have to find two numbers that multiply together to be 2,750 and add to be 120. So let's start dividing 2,750 by some random numbers. Divide it by 5. Okay, is 550 and 5. Do I get 120 out of that? No. So let's divide that by, what did you say? 15. Okay, doesn't go in there evenly. 10 is no good. 25. What am I trying to get? 120. Okay, that's close. What did you say? 26. I feel like that's going to go in there evenly. 20. 28. Oh, how about 30? 30 doesn't work. I want to stick with whole numbers. I mean, we can always just go quadratic formula, and I feel like that's where we're headed. We're trying to get 120. 20, but 20, no, 27 won't do it. Won't go in there evenly. No? Okay, gotta go quadratic formula, sorry. Yeah, it's a negative 120, so one's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. All right, to use the quadratic formula, oh, it's up here now on the wall. Opposite of b, b squared, so 120 squared minus 4 times 1 times 2750. Then you take that total and divide it by 2a. So what's 120 squared minus 4 times 2,750? Yeah. Okay, what's the square root of 3,400? Not a whole number, is it? So that's why we couldn't find that number, because it's not a whole number. So this works out to be 3,400 underneath the square root. And then the square root of 3,400 is what? Tristan? 58.31 divided by 2. So if I go 120 plus 58.31 divided by 2, that is 178.31 divided by 2. So that's one possible answer. I could also go 120 minus 58.31 divided by 2. I don't know what that is off the top of my head. 41.69, 61.69. Okay, so 61.6 divided by 2. Yeah, so what's 178.31 divided by 2? 89.15. Okay, and then 61.69 divided by 2 is, okay, so those are my two different options. Which one's the right answer? You have to plug it in. So which one are you going to plug in? So what? Because it looks like it's smaller this way. Okay, so if you take 30.84 and plug it in there for x, what do you get? Oh, no, we're done. Never mind. It says find the values of x for which the area is 5,500 feet. There they are. There's the two values of x. Yeah. That was a little bit of work, wasn't it? All right, last one for today. Solve the equation graphically. So I threw this one at you guys basically on that test that I gave you. And I felt a little bit bad about the number of people who did not get that right. We just haven't done this very much, I guess, because of the whole calculator issue. But all you have to do is just graph the two things and find out where they cross. And so we'll go through the answers to your test next week when everybody's back. But to solve this graphically, I just need to go absolute value of 4x minus 3. And then I have to do 5 times the square root of x plus 4. And all I'm looking for is the x values where those two graphs cross. And so what's that? Well, I mean, you could do it on a graphing calculator if you had one. No, and so that's what I'm saying. On the test that I gave you guys earlier, I gave you the graph, and you were just supposed to find the x values where those two graphs cross. But some people didn't know what to do with that. So I would just without these numbers here, to give you this problem on a test, I would take this graph and I would cut and paste like that. And I would say, where do they cross? And you would just go right here and go, okay, that looks like it's about, well, what are we going by here? 2, 4, 6, 8. We're going by 2, so that's like negative 1 point something, negative 1.8, sure. And then this would be 4.2 or 3, right? And that's what I was trying to get you guys to do on that test, but I don't think that it went very well. Okay. All right, we'll talk more on Monday. Are you going to be okay, Cole? You can do it. Okay.